My name is Arnold Austin. I'm a certified coach through John Maxwell. Today I want to deal with the topic of how to raise your vibration and the importance of it. I'm going to go over 5 things real quick. Just some information that can help you. And this information is very, very vital for anybody that has maybe come out of a traumatic relationship or some type of traumatic experience, and they're trying to learn how they can navigate life after that point. And one of the points with navigating life after some type of traumatic experience is you got to learn how to keep your energy high, keep your vibration high, whether it's a breakup, whether it's a divorce, whether it's whatever. I mean, and I'm just using that as an example. When you come through heartbreaking experiences, there's a part of you that's gonna want to go to the place where maybe self-pity and feeling sorry for yourself and being hurt, and which are all natural. These are all part of our natural expression of being human beings and individuals within the world. But again, I'm going to go over 5 things which I know that will help you as you go through your journey, as you travel along this
process. And some of the things that most of the things I'm going to share with you are things that you can do to maintain, because part of you going through healing and feeling better and getting out of the traumatic experience and starting over with your life is that you're going to have to have tools in your toolbox that you can actually maintain your sobriety as far as your mindset and feeling better. And I'm not talking about sobriety as far as alcohol. I'm talking about sobriety as far as being in more of a clear mindset. And so the first thing that I suggest to people, and I'm not going to share with you things as far as religion. This has nothing to do with religion, but these are practices that if you do them, it's going to make a tremendous difference in your life. And the first thing that I would suggest to you when it comes to raising your vibration, because and then I just want to real quick, one of the things that happens when you go through a process and you're willing to raise your vibration, you're willing to take yourself to a place of getting in a higher state, it makes it easier for you to manifest the things that you want in your life. It makes it easier for you to manifest that relationship. It makes it easier for you to make more money, because you're coming energetically from a place where you're going to be more of a match for the thing that you want. It's not going to be so much resistance. And so the first thing that I teach anybody that's coming out of a traumatic experience as a certified coach is you want to get yourself into some type of patterns, because part of retraining your subconscious is it's repetition. So what is the thing that you can repeat and do daily? Some of the things that you can do daily is meditation. I'm not saying this from a spiritual or religious practice or religious place. I'm saying it just from a place of understanding that there's certain things that you can do, and there's science to back it up, where you can actually start changing the structure of your mind and start changing your old patterns and your old thought process. So meditation would be one of the most critical things that I would suggest to anybody do. I was when I went through my divorce, one of the things that kept me afloat was that I had started studying with a group out of India, and I had gone through and taken courses and things like that. And so I was learning a lot of breath work and a lot of meditation. And what I found is that it gave me a level of peace as I was in these different situations that were going on in my life, because now I had a practice of where I was meditating daily. And so through meditation, what it did was it kept me in more of a peaceful state, that I wasn't attacking, and yeah, you're going to still go through the victim thing where you're going to feel like people have done you wrong, and maybe they have. But my point is, when you get to a place where you raise your vibration, you're putting yourself in a place where you're going to be open to receiving better things into your life. When people talk about positive versus negative, what they should actually teach you and tell you is that positive represents that you're running and you're operating your life. Thank y'all for the taps and the shares and likes. You're operating and you're running your life from a place of plus, of an abundance, of extra. If you're running your life from a place of negative, the negative place, you're running yourself from a place of less or not enough. And so that's affected within our behaviors and our actions. Just like love is rated as a higher energy source than hate. And it's the same thing with our lives. When we're operating from a place of a higher energy source like love, joy, peace, happiness, thankfulness, gratitude, those type things, what happens is you're going to be more susceptible to receiving good things to happen into your life, because it's what you're putting out. It's what you're putting out energetically. So what we're putting out energetically, what we're putting out based upon our mindset, our speech, based upon our emotion of our hearts, that's what we're going to get back to us. And so we got to look at our lives, and if our lives don't look like what we want, then there's a real good chance that maybe we're sending out the wrong energy. So this is why I'm talking about raising up your vibration. And there's simple ways to do it. The first way I'm talking about is meditation. Meditation is something that it's a practice that I developed, and it's something that I studied with other people to learn. And I tied also into it breath work. Thank y'all for the taps. Thank y'all for joining in. For those that are in here, if you're tuning in and joining in, let me know where you're joining in from. And so part of meditation, because I grew up in a religious background, I was already familiar with prayer. So prayer was already something that I learned as a kid growing up. But it wasn't until I started incorporating meditation and being in more of a place. How you doing, LOL? Drunk Dad. And when I started adding the prayer with the meditation, what it did was I got more communication as far as on a spiritual level. Now, I'm saying all these things that if you've gone through a difficulty in your life, you're going to want to know that you have some type of way, some way that you can release all of the pressure and all of the stress and all of the things that you're going through in your life. Thank y'all for the taps and the likes. Appreciate y'all for joining in. Thank you, sports. And so my thing with all of this is that by me adding the prayer with the meditation, what it did was it gave me peace as I was going through my divorce and going through that whole scenario. And what it did was it enabled me to see the good, even though it was a negative situation. Because sometimes we can't see the good because we're so close to it and we're so up when it's something that's up on us. It's because it's something that's near and dear and personal to us. And it's something that's painful. And because it's painful, sometimes the tunnel vision of just seeing it from that eyesight, we can't really see it from a broader spectrum. So part of me seeing it from a broader spectrum is I had to step back from it. And stepping back from it for me represent, and I'm not saying this stuff from a religious place, I'm saying this from a spiritual place. Being in tune with who we are as spiritual beings. You're a physical being, but you're also a spiritual being. So again, the first thing would be your meditation and your prayer to raise your vibration. You raise your vibration, you're putting yourself in a place where you can receive the things that you want. Do you want that healthy relationship? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to make more money consistently? Do you want to have a better self-image? You want to be more disciplined? All this stuff is based upon your energy, where you are energetically. People that are depressed don't work out. Because after you work out, you're going to release endorphins in your mind, which is automatically going to raise your energy. This is why you moving your body is important. So one of the things that I'm going to tell you that you should do is, again, meditate and prayer. Second thing is do things to move your body. I do qigong. I do kickboxing. I lift. As a 60-year-old man, I do all of these things. Why? Because you have to move your body and move that energy as part of a way of keeping your energy high. Depressed people are sitting around doing nothing. They're kind of feeling sorry for themselves, and they're not really understanding how powerful you are and how much power you have if you can just do certain simple little things like because I am. So my second thing is, after the meditation and prayer, is connect back into nature. Are you the type of person that's willing to get out into nature? You're willing to go and maybe put your feet in the grass or go down to the bay or to the ocean and get out into nature and breathe in. Inhale in nice smog air from New Jersey and New York. But I'm saying, are you willing to get back out into nature? Are you willing to experience nature? Thank y'all for the taps and the shares and the likes, and appreciate y'all being in here. And I appreciate y'all's comments. I see some of them are hilarious. But my point is, the first thing, and this is all based upon you raising your energy for the end goal of you getting the things that you want in your life. So all of this is predicated or based upon you knowing, what do you want? Do you want a better relationship? Do you want, to make more money? Do you want, what do you want? Power, there's power in you knowing, first of all, knowing what you want, but then knowing that there's certain things that you have to do to go get those things. So connecting into nature, connecting into living the life from more of a natural place. Thank y'all. You got, and that's the question that you're asking, Hunter, is what are the things that are important to you? Family is important to me. Being in a place where I have, my business, but it's the type of thing that I'm free to do the things that I want. Not being bogged down and tied down to any one particular thing. Knowing what my goals are. And part of my goal is just living life from a place of, fulfilling the objective, fulfilling the reason for my existence, why I was placed on this earth. Reason why I was placed on this earth was to help people to raise their energy, to raise their vibration, to heal people, to help people to heal themselves. And in turn, as they're healing themselves, they're going to go and infect their families, their children, whomever else. So we can spread healing and raise the vibration of the people that are within the world. Just like there's negativity and people spread it, they spread rumors and they spread gossip and all this stuff. to me, we can spread goodwill and love and just the things that are beneficial also. So the third thing is, what are you eating? So first thing is meditation and prayer. Second thing is connecting back into nature, getting outside, putting your feet in the grass, spending time with maybe your wife or your girlfriend or whoever, or your husband or whoever, out in nature, maybe in the park, going out to the bay, taking your shoes off, standing out there in the sand and sticking your feet in the water, and actually experiencing nature again and get in a place of enjoying nature. Because that's part of how you're going to naturally just raise your energy and raise your vibration. There's a thing called grounding. And so if you go out and stand in your grass, what it does is it automatically makes your bloodstream, the blood in your bloodstream, flow easier and freer because of you connecting back, just standing in the grass. So the third thing is, what foods are you eating? The foods that we're eating, because our bodies are basically similar to like a machine, and I joke around and say that. What food are you putting in your body? Are you putting in something that's natural, something with a lot of chemicals, a lot of alcohol, a lot of drugs? I mean, what are you putting in, or in general, are you putting those things in your body? This isn't a judgment against anybody, but I'm saying if we're putting those things in our bodies, then we're making ourselves, we're not allowing ourselves to be elevated in a spiritual process, in that process. Because that drug is bringing us down. It's lowering our vibration. It's lowering our inhibitions. It's lowering our frequency. Snoop had a song out, and he said, I think it was Snoop, but he said, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, but then I got HIGH. And so my point is, there's a lot of ambitions that people have, but when they start doing a lot of substances, then a lot of those ambitions get pushed to the side because that substance becomes more important. So the fourth thing, how you can raise your vibration: singing, dancing. You don't have to be a great singer, but just sing. Open up your voice and sing. While you're driving somewhere, sing. But sing, you want to sing stuff that's uplifting, some stuff that's going to encourage you, stuff that's going to motivate you. All of us, when we listened to that Rocky soundtrack, back when it first came out, we were fired up. We wanted to go, rah, 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 right? Because we saw the movie and we heard it and we just wanted to be a part of it. And so that's the time you got to find music. You got to find things that's going to lift you up, that's going to encourage you. And I'm a person, because I come from a church background. I come from musicians. We just have a good part of the people in our family are musicians. I got a 4-year-old grandson, 4 years old. He goes on YouTube. I bought him a drum set a couple weeks ago. He goes on YouTube and he's practicing drums. Nobody's teaching him. Nobody's teaching this kid how to play drums. He's on YouTube playing drum based upon watching people. I mean, if you went to him and questioned him, okay, what is that? Oh, that's a bass drum. Oh, what is that? That's a crash cymbal. Oh, what is that? That's a ride cymbal. He can actually tell you all of the pieces and how things work and so on and so forth. Thank y'all for the taps and the likes, and thank y'all for being here, and thank you for your questions and your comments. Appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. And so my point with all of this is, because that is his interest, and I saw that is his interest as his grandfather, I said, you know what? Let me start investing in him the same way I did with my sons. And so my point is, the 5 things, I already went over the first one. The first one is your meditation and your prayers. This isn't about religion. This is about you raising your vibration. Because as you raise your vibration, you can start getting the things that you want in your life, because you're going to be on the same wavelength. You can't be on the wavelength of prosperity and wealth and riches, but then you have a poverty mindset. You're listening to poverty music. And so the second thing, are you connecting back into nature? Are you connecting back into our original state and where we came from? We're from nature. We're from the nature. Foods, what foods are you eating? Are you eating more of an all-natural diet, or are you eating a lot of processed things and a lot of junk? And I'm not saying this like I have a perfect diet. But what I did was, I went and got a checkup. After the checkup, the doctor came to me and he said, yo, your cholesterol is getting a little high, so on and so forth. I said, okay, cool. So all I did was I changed from eating to lean meats, fruits, and vegetables. I lost 14 pounds, wasn't trying to lose weight, but I'm saying all this to say, if you eat a cleaner diet, your fruits, your vegetables, lean meats, do some juicing, things like that, it's going to put you in a higher state. Because the food that you're putting in your body is fueling your body. If I'm putting Twix or Twinkies in my body, I'm fueling my body with something that can't sustain it for long periods of time. That's why certain food that you eat, you notice that you're hungry right after eating it, because it didn't really sustain you. It didn't really fill you up. And so the next thing is, you got to learn how to start putting healthier choices in your body. As you do that, You're going to be in higher states. As you're in higher states, in higher vibrations, you're going to attract that money. You're going to attract that spouse. You're going to connect into, that new business venture because you're in a different state. It's very, very simple. When I first started getting the understanding of this stuff, I read a book a number of years back, and the book was Power versus Force. And in that book, the author talks about that different conditions that we're in represent the state that we're in. Somebody that's discouraged, or someone that's low, or someone that's depressed, they're operating their body at a deficit. And if you're on here and you're a man, it's real simple way to explain it is, if you're running a vehicle, a car, for instance, and you don't have any oil in that car, and you don't have any gasoline in that car, how long will that car run? So even if you have gasoline in it, but if you don't have any oil in it, how long will that car run? Up until the point that it won't run, because you only have a quart of oil or a half a quart or whatever, and so you're running it not at its fullest capacity. And that's part of what happens with our bodies. When we're in a negative state, it represents that I am operating my body in a negative state. So instead of being at that place of balance and wholeness and health, it opens up the door for sickness. It opens up the door for bad things. This is where disease comes from. It represents an imbalance within our bodies based upon not running our bodies at the maximum capacity that we could. And so and there's so many benefits to running our body at the right capacity, because that's when you can start obtaining certain things that you want. So the fourth thing would be, getting in the mindset of being able to sing. You don't have to be a good singer. Sing. Find good music and sing. Dancing. Get around your house and dance. Another thing you can do is clapping. Easiest way to raise your vibration, if you're feeling down and you're feeling discouraged about something, especially if you're coming out of a traumatic relationship and that you were in for a number of years, and you're discouraged and you're heartbroken and you're hurt and you're pissed. The easiest way to start getting out of that is, again, moving your body, but not only moving your body, taking your hands and clapping your hands together. And just walking around saying, oh, this is okay. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. You're going to fire yourself up. You're going to get yourself out of that state. This is what I'm saying. You have the power to change the state of where you are at any given moment. At any given moment. Situations that happen in your life are not they are not the defining key as to who you are and the possibilities of what you can do. They are just an event that took place that happened, or something that happened in your life. But that is not a defining point to say that is who you are. Yes, you had a divorce, but that's not who you are. Yes, you were abandoned as a child, but that's not who you are. That's an event that took place, but that's not who you are. Unless you decide to allow that event to dictate the remainder of your life. But that's a choice. This is why I'm sharing this information. I'm sharing this information with people that want to change their lives. Thank y'all for the taps, the likes, and shares. Thank y'all for being in here. Thank you for your comments. I want to help people that want to help themselves, that don't want to make any more excuses about things that have happened, but that want to get up, that want to do the things it takes, that want to make a difference in their own personal life, and in the process of making a difference in their own personal life, that they can start making a difference in others' lives around them, where the people and the experience that you're having around you will be better and better. And it all starts with us raising our vibration. And so what you got to look at, what music are you listening to? Are you listening to something that's raising you up and that's encouraging you, that's building you up? Are you listening to something that's discouraging you? Are you in a place where you're willing to meditate or pray? Again, that's not from a religious place. That's from a place of just having a practice to get it, to understand what it is, to connect into our spiritual side as well as our physical. Because all of us are 3D in the 3D and we're physical, but you have a spiritual side also. Connecting back into nature, getting out into nature, putting your feet in the grass, allowing yourself to be grounded again. Get out and breathe. I'm in Jersey. I'm in southern part of Jersey. So this is the part where there's farms and there's lakes and there's the bay and the ocean. And so this is the perfect time of year to get out in nature, to get out and experience the things that we're creating, the foods that we're eating. All these things are part of a process of us feeding our energy, us getting to a higher energy state. If we're putting better foods in, juicing and some all natural vegetables and fruits throughout the day and leaner meats, then you're going to be walking around in a higher state emotionally. You're going to be operating from a higher state emotion, so you'll be able to manifest the things that you want. This is why I said about the singing and dancing and the clapping. So the fifth thing is you want to make sure that the individuals that you're associating yourself with are the type of people that are not using you as a dumping station or as a trash can. But they're the type of people that are lifting you up, that are part of the encouragement, that your conversations are uplifting and conversations where you're building them, they're building you. You're encouraging them, they're encouraging you. If you have friends that they can't be happy for you in your success, then they're not really friends. If you have people around you that are not true support and that are not there in the times that you need them, then they're not true support, they're not true friends. And part of with all of this is accepting those things. Not trying to make something that isn't. You know, and that's my thought for y'all for today. Again, my name is Arnold Austin. I'm a certified coach to John Maxwell. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. You know, thank y'all for the taps, the likes, the shares. Thank y'all for your comments. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for your attention. Appreciate each and every one of you. If you don't mind, go follow this page and also like it. And I got a bunch of videos on there about things that you can start doing to start changing your mind and your life. I have a 3-day live event that I will be doing on the subconscious mind and the importance of it. 90% of your life is controlled by your subconscious mind. A lot of the things that we are going through and that we are doing based upon habits that we have already had programmed into our subconscious based upon experiences that took place in the past. And so if we don't like the results that we're getting, to me, the easiest thing to do, and I have a very, very simple way that I teach people how to reprogram their subconscious. It's something very, very effortless. And in this 3-day event, it's the 22nd to the 24th. It's going to be live. So what you have to do is you have to direct message me. And when you direct message me, give me a good email. And in that email, what I'll do is I'll send you a link. And in the link, I'm going to be going over all the things that you can do to start changing your life, to get yourself in a place where you're no longer a victim to life, but that you're living life from a victorious place, a place of triumph and victory. And because our subconscious is the reason why you make the decisions that you make. It's part of where our long-term thoughts are. It's where our emotion is. And so if we don't reprogram and retrain that part of our mind, then we're going to keep repeating the same cycle. This is why when you hear people say, oh, why do I keep meeting the same person? Because you have a program, young lady or young man, in your mind. You have a program in your mind concerning relationships. And so because of that recording in your mind, you're going to, without you being consciously aware of it, because this is your subconscious mind. It's the mind that runs underneath. It's the part of our mind that runs behind the scenes, which controls 90% of our lives. And so because of that recording in your subconscious about relationships and the way that you should feel about it and think about them, thank y'all for the taps, likes, and shares. And thank y'all for the subscribing and hitting the bell notification. What happens is you end up repeating the same patterns. If you're repeating the same patterns, it's part of a block. So I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking in the 3-day event. I will be talking about how to eliminate those blocks, how to create a story that you can tell yourself as you're sleeping effortlessly. Because the easiest way to reprogram and train your subconscious is the way that it speaks to you. And our subconscious speaks to us in stories, in signs and symbols, but also in the questions that we ask it. And I'm teaching that also, how you can ask those questions. There is a small fee to be involved, but I appreciate every single one of y'all for tuning in. Again, DM me if you want to be a part of that 3-day event. It's the end of the month, the 22nd through the 24th. Appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for joining in. Thank y'all for the taps, the likes, the shares. Thank each and every one of y'all. Like I always say, I believe in you, but you got to believe in yourself. Thanks. Talk to you soon.